And we are live. What up, players? Welcome to
What's
episode
up?
197 of Player Life. It is Friday, the 26th of November, here in Tokyo, Japan. Today, have a guest on, Robert from Command Your Confidence. I just was just going, did a show with Robert just before this live stream and yeah, just last minute kind of got him on to
Yeah,
talk, because why not?
glad to be here.
Why not, man? But yeah, check out Robert's channel, Command Your Confidence. It's all about just helping guys out. So good content on there. But yeah, how's it going, Robert? What's up? We
Hey,
just
doing
chopped it
good.
up
Well,
on.
we just had a killer show
Yeah,
about an hour ago on my channel, which was really good. Like I talked about like a million things and everything.
yeah.
Um, what up, Gabriel? Rock and roll, guys. What up? Know your worth. Cheers, cheers. I salute you with some vodka and ginger ale. But I'm
Good
doing good,
stuff.
man.
Yeah,
So I really liked your topic, the importance of having a good wingman.
yeah, man.
That's what is it? Why is it important to have a good wingman? Because I have my reasons too, but this is your show, so I get you rolling on it.
Yeah, I mean, dude, like it's just, well, the reason I just thought about it because I had a good time the other night, and it just made me realize, holy shit, having a good wingman makes a huge difference. Like a guy that just gets it, a guy that has some game. That's why, like, if you don't have any game, your best way to learn game is to get around guys that have game. That's the quickest way of
Hmm.
learning game is to hang out with guys that have game, or hang out with a guy, with a friend that understands game in a really in a good way, and understands women and has a lot of experience with women, so he's not going to stab you in the back, or like or fuck you over for a chick,
Hmm.
because
Correct.
guys that have been with a lot of women are way less likely to be a dick around women, and to be and way less likely to stab you in the back over a woman,
Hmm.
um, and it's just they're not jealous, and they don't get butthurt and all this kind of stuff. This is the kind of thing you'll notice. And but yeah, it can be make or break, depending on the guy you're with. If a guy doesn't have game, or he's getting butthurt, and just able to handle the situation. It was just like the other night, on Wednesday night, a friend of mine, we did some day game about a few 2 weeks ago, and we met a bunch of girls, but we met these two girls, and in my opinion, I thought they were very prude. Like, they were kind of prude. We went and played darts with them, you know,
Okay.
in a private room. And I've done this before. You get a private room for darts in Japan. There's these places you can go to, and you can get a kind of a private booth. So it was we picked them up from the street, and we started playing darts with them. And you can play games like to escalate the situation. You develop some rapport, and then you can escalate the
Hmm.
situation,
Yeah.
like playing games like, oh, I hit the bullseye, we got a kiss and stuff. Like, play games like that. But these girls didn't they didn't follow those rules. Like, they basically wouldn't. They didn't play game. They didn't
And
play
how do you get
ball.
out of that one?
They just weren't like down to play those escalation games. So that,
Hmm.
I was like, okay, this is like, okay, I'm probably not going to see these girls again. Not, if they're not, they were just very prude, like I said. Um, so yeah, basically, my friend, I was like, yeah, they're all yours, bro. I don't think they're gonna. There's nothing much is gonna come of them, because they were very prude. I mean, I've done that thing before, and the girls would play along, and it would be a good time. You hit the bullseye, you make
Hmm.
out. It's fun. Like,
When things
but
go smooth, that's like always a good night. But when you have those complications, it can be
yeah,
it cause confusion. You got to figure out a way to get out of that.
yeah. So long story short, he hit me up on Tuesday, and he's like, "Yo, let's have a." I invited those girls over. They're down to have a house party, like a double date house party, like, as in, we all just go to his house, not like a traditional house party. They call that a house party in Japan, by the way, which is
Okay.
ridiculous. Anyway, so it was the two girls and myself and my friend in his apartment. He has a nice apartment in a nice place in Japan. But I was kind of surprised. I said to him, I'm surprised these girls are coming along. I was like, I'm actually surprised they're willing to come to your house because they kind of know that we were trying to escalate with them and they didn't allow it.
Mm-hmm.
But they're coming back to your house. I was like, whoa, dude, like I'm actually like, and this is another, like I was saying on your show, this is why you always like, even if you don't think it's going too well, you might as well get their number,
Mm-hmm.
always go
Yeah,
to
go
get
for
their
it
number.
anyways. Correct. Yeah.
Don't get their number anyway because you don't know what's going to happen. But they showed up. I went 7 p.m. met them at the station. Then the girls came, and we went and we went to the convenience store, got some drinks. And then we told the girls like, oh yeah, we're going to order a pizza at the house. It's going to be cool. So they came back to the house, and you know they were they were, but long story short, like it was a good time because we played all these. This time we did all these kind of different escalation games and stuff, and it
Mm-hmm.
escalated to a pretty significant level. I'll just say that much. But
Well, I can tell by the look on your face, man.
yeah,
You're significant level. You're like, hell yeah.
but even like even that caught me off guard because it's like, wow, like I'm still learning game. I'm still learning new things because I thought those girls were like no chance, like because they were so prude on the first time, and it's like really prude, as in like you put your hand on their shoulder, they kind of move away from you. So I thought it was a waste of time, almost, but turned out it wasn't. It's just like, yeah, it's just if you get girls, it's just amazing what can happen when you get girls into a private location in like, and you've built up some rapport, and you can develop, you can build on that, and yeah. But the reason I thought he was such a good wingman is because he was just able to understand understand the situation. I mean, initially, like I would say that both of the girls maybe were giving me more attention.
Mm-hmm.
However, he didn't get butthurt by that. He didn't like show that in any way. He was really cool about it, like really, really like didn't he didn't show any kind of emotion about, oh, like, oh, these bitches aren't giving me any attention. He was really
Mm-hmm.
smooth about it, and
So you kind of just went with the flow of things
went with the
without
flow, very
reacting.
like chill, not like being dickish about it, because a lot of guys would be that's the thing, that a bad wingman would like, that's what guys would be very like upset about, that not
Mm-hmm.
getting it, the girl's not like showing him it. But I mean, like he just was chill about it, and he played along, and eventually he had fun too. So
Mm-hmm.
eventually the girls started to like him as well. So um it was just an interesting reminder of how important, because I'm sure you've been with good wingmen and bad wingmen, and there's a big
Mostly
difference, right?
bad, but some good. Yeah. No, it's true.
Yeah.
Um, no, like when it's funny because like when you're telling me about this, what you were going to do for the topic here, it just made me think like of some of the wingmen that I've had in the past. Like, and I thought of this one guy who I did, who was one of my wingmen, and like he was honestly like he was really good at opening the girls. Like he could open a group of girls. And that's the one thing I liked about him is he can just go up. Before I had the confidence to kind of go open up a group of girls, like you go up there, open up the set, you do the gags, and then I just kind of go in and I look for the girl who was interested while he's getting the girl that he wanted. Um, but but eventually though it was weird because over a period of time when I was kind of like, and this is like right, I was like still working on the I don't know RSD stuff and everything. That's I met this guy through an RSD group. But he was practicing a lot. Like he would like binge watch a lot of like the videos and the gags that they would do to pull up, to open up the girls. But so it was fun at first because like I can go in there and use those gags to open up a set. But when I was kind of taking a different perspective as far as talking with women rather than watching, a more confident approach, I should say, I kind of like dwindle away from all that. And like but he was still like doing that gimmicky stuff.
All
and
right.
and I think like that's when like because like with stuff I was doing since it was a more confident approach and just kind of having learning working on communication more the in the when he was doing the gimmicky stuff, it did kind of like throw things off a bit during our when we go open up girls. And so I think like when you have a good wingman, you guys kind of both have to have the same perspective when it comes to approaching women. You have to have the same knowledge too of women and the same communication skills and confidence level, because I think like if you're not on the same level with all those things, it could kind of ruin the interaction. What's your perspective on what I'm saying? I mean, do you agree or?
No, I mean I agree. I mean I think it's just yeah, I mean it's important that both of you are kind of on the same level, as in you're not super invested in the outcome, as in
Hmm.
like if your friend is can if your wingman can hook up and you can't, can you handle that? And a sign of a good wingman is if you can handle it, not get angry about it, and not get hurt emotionally about it, and not
Right.
feel like left out. If you're a really good wingman, you'll just handle that like a champ, and not and like not like salt the interaction.
Hmm.
um you know
Right, and
because
like when I was first ringing with this guy too, I admit like I got in that frame of mind because like it was weird. I didn't understand like because and I was taking a different approach, and like this guy was still doing these like gimmicky things and getting somewhere, and but I realized when I put more time into that, like I was having my own successes as well. And I mean, and I think like I don't know, I think, but yeah, you're right. You gotta like you gotta still be able to go out with your wingman and be able to tolerate that. But sometimes I think some people are going to get frustrated about that, but you can't let that frustrate you. You got to just focus on you and not your wingman. If he's having getting all the success, realize that your wingman probably has more knowledge than you do, and you got to like continue, and you're just kind of new to all this, and you got to realize that. But the more you kind of take action and put yourself out there and learn from what your wingman is doing, like that's really going to help you out.
right, yeah, yeah. Yeah, man, it's like the whole thing about game is that you don't necessarily need a wingman, but it can be it can definitely be a thing to like mix it up every now and again, because I think the majority of the time when I'm doing approaches is when I'm alone. Like it's not it's not when I'm with a friend or anything. It's just me going about my business or whatever, seeing a hot girl and approaching her. But there is something to be said about approaching with a friend and having those doing sets with a friend, because you can. It's almost like you're it's like almost like pre-selection, where if a girl sees that you have a friend already, she becomes more okay. This guy is like you know um he's calibrated, he's not like some kind of loner, because that's obviously a part of the fear amongst women, like a lot of the time,
Hmm.
um when you're alone, it's like, who is this guy? It's like, and that can be part of the attraction level as well, like he's mysterious, like, you don't know anything about him. But when you're with a friend, the I'd say the chances of the girls interacting with you are higher when you're with a guy that is that matches you. And the
Yeah,
important
then
thing is
agreed
that
on that.
I think like it's important that that your wingman is similar to you. I gotta it's
Hmm.
gotta be somewhat similar. No, it doesn't need to be exactly the same. I'm just saying, like, it can, if you look completely different to your wingman, it can be a bad thing. I'll say that.
Mhm.
Like if you're like pretty good condition, and your wingman is like ginormously fat and out of shape. The thing that can happen in a dynamic like that is that it can still work, but the thing is, like, you can it'll be it'll be you that's getting all the attention, and then your wingman will get zero attention, and if he's not calibrated, um he'll be butthurt about that, and
Mhm.
that can create a bad dynamic. So like that's why it's a good idea to, if your wingman is like somewhat on the same level as you, in same height or same like
Right.
yeah, like I say, it sounds crazy, but it's really true. I've noticed this thing, like, that's, yeah, it can be quite hard. Like, the reality nature is quite harsh. The female nature is harsh. So like, if you go out with a friend, the thing is, like, if you go out with a friend that's like really overweight, or that looks has terrible fashion or has no game, it can almost make you look better. Like, but it doesn't create a good dynamic. You get
Mhm.
me?
No,
Because your
yeah,
friend won't get any attention. Your
right,
your friend
and
will get like kind of sidelined, and that creates this awkward. This creates this bad vibe. So
mhm.
your friend is kind of this is when you look completely different to your friend, your wingman, your friend can actually make you look better, but then this like create your friend is going to get sidelined, so it creates a bad thing ultimately. And if that constantly happens, so yeah, it sounds kind of harsh, but it's honestly it's quite honest. It's quite honestly, it's the truth. You know.
Mhm.
Um. You know.
No, and I agree with that. I think like you have to have be somewhat on the same level, like when it comes to mindset, fashion, beliefs about like yourself in the world. That like and another thing that I found like very helpful too, like one thing I like about having a wingman is like they can do all the bragging for you. Like instead of you having to brag, like I always used to have my friend, he would just tell the girl like all these cool things about me without kind of over exaggerating it. So it's kind of like you didn't have to tell you that, and like what I did when he'd tell the girl, like I remember he would tell the girl I did salsa and I do I was an artist and everything. And it was weird because when I talked to the girl was like, "Hey, your buddy over there just said you do salsa. That's very cool. Or that you're an artist. What do you do?" And like he gets it kind of helps get brag to the girl. And the girl the girl will ask you questions about what your friend said if she's interested. That I've noticed that helps. And I think it also helps too because like when you have two people working together, especially like it's very if you got a group of girls and it's hard for like one person to kind of interact with all of them, but you have a wingman in there to kind of get help you out. You kind of engage, keeping that engagement going in the with the group of girls rather than letting having someone being singled out, like so that's another good thing about having a wingman.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, it's an interesting point you brought up, where it's like, you have your friend that's gonna talk you up, because some guys that are bad wingmen will talk you down in front of women, and that is really when you're dealing with a guy that has terrible game. Um, because if a guy is like constantly talking you down, making you the butt of jokes, that's like salting you pretty badly. Um, um, you know, even if it's just the odd joke here and there is fine, but if it's like constantly, that's gonna salt your game. Um,
Hmm.
it's a good thing, but for a guy to talk you up, it lets the girls know that he respects you, and then they're gonna respect you even more for it. So yeah.
Exactly. Now, some of the I'd have to say some of the other examples of wingmen who are bad, like I ran with people who just had no experience with talking to women, and they just I remember this one guy like I was with, he would just like when I was I talked opened a group of girls, and then he would just show up and he'd say something stupid like, "Oh, I'm sorry, girls, I had to move over here because I just farted." That was his opener. So you say dumb shit like that. That I mean, some
it's, it's
that.
it's ridiculous. Yeah, it's probably not. It's kind of funny, but it's also stupid.
Yeah,
uh,
I know. So that's one example. Then, like, there's this one guy who brought in this is another person I met out, on the RSD forum a long time ago. Actually, when I went on a boot camp with I met this guy, and he went to the RSD boot camp, and I actually saw him out. I guess he lived here in Arizona, and we exchanged numbers. We went out. This guy brought out like a little frisbee to open girls with. Like I thought, so ridiculous. I mean, at the time, you know, yeah, these are
it's
just
so
like,
gimmicky. It's,
yeah, I
it's
know, but
hilarious.
these are just bad examples, because
A frisbee. What was he doing? Throwing it to them.
I don't like. I guess he threw it into the air or some shit. Like he do like a frisbee trick. And he brought it into a nightclub, man. And it was yeah,
Oh, it's funny.
and
Oh,
like I
man.
just like see, but at the time though, like I mean, I did start doing, I did some of those gimmicky BS things, and but at the time though, when I went on this boot camp, I'd already kind of worked with another guy who just taught me how to have normal, confident interaction with women and everything, and and see that, and I guess like I said, you got to be on the same page, as the other wingman, because my buddy who is the one that actually did the RS, who I met on the RSD forum. He ended up just wanting to do go to strip clubs, and he got into drugs and stuff, and at some point I just had to blow him off because he was kind of he changed from who he was when I first met him, and I guess it was weird because when I went to last time I probably went out, we used to go to Las Vegas 'cause I'm not too far from Las Vegas here, and we'd always go to Las Vegas like once every other month. We go to some of the clubs out there, and this is just right around the time I was just getting good with daytime approaches and nighttime stuff. And I met this very gorgeous Asian girl, and during the
Oh,
daytime. And I think like you were talking about the jealousy and stuff, because I ended up getting her number and everything, and he just got super frustrated about that. He was just like, "Oh man, I was going to open up that girl." I'm like, "Well, you didn't even give me any indication that you were going to open up that girl."
yeah, that's terrible, terrible game. If a guy is gonna be salty about you getting success, that's okay, that's a really giant red flag. We talk about red flags about women a lot of time, but I mean, there's guys will show similar red flags. In terms of friendships,
Mhm.
like showing any kind of jealousy or bitterness about your success, like you know, it's like, dude, no, you gotta be ideally, you want a wingman that you literally can equally you can almost share girls with them. That's the kind of mindset you need. That's the ultimate
Mhm.
wingman, is when you're both happy to okay, this girl is kind of, maybe she's been a bit more receptive to my friends, so I'm gonna pass her off to him, or and then maybe the other girl comes to me, that kind of vibe, where you
Mhm.
maybe the both of the girls have been more receptive to my friend, or they're both of them being more receptive to me, but then I'll include my friend more. I'll acknowledge that and be try and talk my friend up, stuff like that. Just being really calibrated to the situation. A lot of
Mhm.
guys just are not that calibrated. They'll be the opposite. They'll be completely uncalibrated. They'll be just looking out for themselves. You know, I mean, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I I kind of can acknowledge it, because I remember when I didn't have game. I mean, I might have been a bad wingman in the past. I just didn't. I would have maybe let my emotions get to me and be more a little salty about it. We've all been there.
Mhm.
It's human nature, really. But it just shows, it really just shows your lack of experience. It's a real turnoff. For if you're getting salty over like your friend doing well, or your friend getting more attention, it just shows that you don't have an abundance mindset. Like you should be like, okay,
Mhm.
cool, my friend's getting in with these hoes. Yeah, let's
Right.
see where this goes. Like, yeah, like
Yeah, but
maybe like
agreed.
this.
Yeah, exactly. But I think too sometimes, people, the guys who don't have the experience, they might get that way. But you, like I said, you can't like get all salty. But like, it's like you realize you're new to this, so like I would just embrace that your friend's getting laid and just
Yeah,
figure out, like, observe your wingman or friend, whoever it is, and see
just
what they're
observe.
doing, and then do what they're doing.
It will rub off on you. Like it will. Like even if your friend is like, he initially he's getting more pussy, and these two hot girls are like, maybe rubbing up on your friend, or like laughing at all his jokes and all this stuff. It's like, just relax, enjoy the environment, enjoy the situation. Like understand that when your friend is getting pussy, ultimately you're gonna eventually learn from that, and like you're gonna end up getting pussy too. So like just support be there, enjoy the fucking party atmosphere wherever you're at, and yeah, it'll ultimately you will start getting pussy too. So
Hmm.
but yeah, there's a bit of the cold hard truth I was like hitting on earlier is when that's why you kind of want to be similar to your friend, at least in terms of fitness, and it doesn't you can't be because I do have friends that are I have different kinds of friends that are sometimes it'd be like I can't do a game with this guy. Like sometimes you have to categorize people. That's the cold hard truth, right? It's like
Hmm.
I'm not gonna. It's not gonna be a good match. Like I mean, I could maybe help them. Of course, that's I can help guys out. Teach them game. But in terms of doing sets together, it's not going to be the best idea because we look so different. You know.
Hmm.
And
Yeah. Well, see, and my biggest problem, like, yeah, I mean, at least today, is like it's hard for me to find a good wingman because, like, I mean, I'm at a different level than most people that I know, and some people, like, they'll talk the talk, but they never walk the walk,
right.
and and I remember what, like, not too long ago, like, so there's these two other guys who I met through my group that I run. I run like a meetup group. So basically hang out with people outside the event. We went out to the bar and like we all go over to approach this group of girls, and like my energy was more at a better level than their energy.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to sound cynical, but I went into the interaction with good energy and confidence and everything, and like they just kind of ejected from the set. Like there were like four girls, and I'm talking to all these four girls at
Right.
once,
Yeah.
and then like when I saw them again, like went out to another bar. I'm like, hey, let's go talk to these girls, and they're like, no, you do it. We'll watch you.
Butthurt. Yeah, no, it's important to check your ego, right? Like guys getting too ego invested, like they're getting upset and getting emotional about not, maybe not getting enough attention. It's like we talk about women and enjoying, needing attention, but some guys they're like emotional like chicks. They don't get enough attention and interaction. They're like getting butthurt and shit. You know.
Yeah,
Um.
and I'm just trying to do good, man. I'm just trying to, go in there and just have fun. But I mean, see, that's just my problem, though. It's like and I'm not trying to sound like cocky or anything, but it's just like my I don't want to have to tone my my energy level out when down when I'm talking to women, for someone else. But like I mean, I just kind of like it's hard to find people on my level, and
Right.
that's just at this moment.
Right. Yeah, man. Ideally, like it's like the ideal wingman is like better than you with women. Like that's you should be around people. It just goes for all levels of everything, and not only day game, but like business, everything, like fitness. Like you should be surrounding yourself by guys that are better than you. Like ideally, if you can, like I'm
That's
not saying
probably what
like
my
like
problem is.
yeah, I'm not saying like oh you just kick people to the curb that friends that
No.
are less, not like that, but like ideally when it comes to game, like it's good to be around guys that are like I mean you will learn more. I mean if I'm around a guy that is better than me with game, or I want to learn like this we're talking earlier about there's you constantly learn, like you learn more and more.
Mhm.
you never fully know everything. But it's just a thing where if you're around someone who is somewhat better than you or somewhat, getting more attention, then learn from it instead of being butthurt about it. But um, ultimately, it's better if you're somewhat in the same realm in terms of game. You don't want to be like it doesn't. You don't want a huge gap. Like you're
Right.
if I go doing game with a guy that's like 150 kilos and like he's shit fashion and shit. Sure, it's gonna make me look fucking good, right? I'm gonna look fucking dope. I'm gonna look like this, you know, I'm well. I'm in good shape. I'm fit. Dressed well and all that. So like, it'll make me look better. But the guy I'm doing game with is gonna get really sidelined
Hmm.
if we do sets. So and then it's most likely it's not gonna be a good dynamic.
Right.
Nothing's gonna happen. So that's why you want someone who's like similar to you.
Yeah,
And
and I work with these mentors who are better than me over the phone. I don't can't go out with them in person. So yeah, you're right. Maybe that's like what you guys got to people who are new to this got to do. But maybe that's what I got to do is look for that someone who's like better than me at a
mm,
different level locally.
yeah, so it's about when you're basically when you're just willing to learn and you have the right mindset of someone who's like not going to be like jealous or like trying to salt someone or feel like emotionally get all in your feelings because your wingman is like getting all the attention or the girls are laughing at all his jokes and stuff. um when you're able to kind of embrace it and just learn from it and kind of be there and kind of help your friend out, that'll rub off on you too.
Hmm.
It's also important for the guy that's getting the attention. It's important for him to understand as well that it's important for him to be calibrated too and understand that he's getting all the attention so that he shares the fucking attention around, as in like he includes you in
Yeah.
conversation. So that's why it's like you talked earlier about it's important that you're on the level, like in the same mindset as well. So both of you guys know the mindset. You get me? So no one kind of gets left out.
Hmm. No,
Yeah.
and that's what sometimes I've done that for people who have like I've had that awareness too, where yes, I've been in there with I've got open an interaction. I have a friend who may not be as good, and I work on kind of bringing him into the interaction. I have to do that with these events that I host too, because there's a lot of people there who are afraid to be social, and you just got to be aware of that and include them in. And the same goes for when you're opening a group of girls and you're
Right.
like kind of running the conversation. At one point, you got to include your friend or whoever it is in there and talk them up a bit.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I've been out with guys before who like, um, basically, some of them. Well, one guy comes to mind. I wouldn't call him a friend, but it was more of an acquaintance. But I used to go out with him, and he's pretty good looking guy. Um,
Hmm.
I think especially but the thing with this guy, he pretty much had no game. Like he pretty much had zero game, but he relied a lot on his looks. I would say it's in 90. He relied on his looks almost like 95%, but his game like sucked so badly.
Hmm.
And he had a very big ego. So he would basically anytime we'd go out, we'd go out with the intention of doing some game, but he would basically the guy had such a big ego that he didn't even want to approach because he was like, "Oh, he had this like kind of, I'm great. Like I don't need to. Why don't they approach me?" kind of thing, and totally
Oh, really?
totally
Ego is that
messed up.
big?
Like terrible game, really, really terrible game. Uh, like for day game, for street game, really like it just doesn't work. But the
Hmm.
only he did all right in nightclubs, but yeah, it was just a bad dynamic, and I never really wanted. I think we tried to do a game once, and he was so bad at it, and he was so unparticipatory that it just do a game with him again. It was just like, okay, this guy sucks at game. It's just so what would happen is like we'd see some hot girls and I'd be like, okay, let's roll in, and he'd be like, okay, and I would roll over, approach him, and he would just stand on the outside, like not even saying anything, and just really salting the interaction. And all it would take was for him to just include himself in the conversation. But he would kind of stand on the outside. Look, I just could you could sense that he was like, oh, they should talk to me, like they should open me, and it's like, dude, like I knew ever since that day I was like, you know, he wasn't a client of mine or anything, so what I couldn't, sometimes when you try and help friends out, they're they basically not going to accept your advice because they
Right.
think you're
No, and you have a
uh,
good point because
if he was a
I
client of mine, I would have scolded that guy, like really, like I would have been, dude, like, I told him what's up, but I should have been much harsher. But yeah, his game was pretty poor. But yeah, it's standing on the outside, not being participatory, not including yourself in the conversation. I mean, like I said, even if the girls are giving your friend more attention or giving you more attention, you kind of you become calibrated to it. You understand it. So if I'm getting a lot of attention from the girls, I'll like talk my friend up and I'll include him and say this, to bring him in. That balances it out and that creates a good environment,
hmm
because like no one wants to be fucking left on the fucking outside, right?
No, exactly.
So,
You want to include
so
everyone.
so if you're getting left on the outside, right, by the girls giving your friend more attention, then of course you don't feel good about it, but you don't outwardly show that you're butthurt about it. And if your friend, and it's a good wingman if your friend is including you in it, if your friend is
hmm
bringing you into the conversation and talking you up, so that's when you've a good wingman. When your wingman is getting more attention, but he's also bringing you into the conversations
hmm
because he acknowledges that he's getting more attention. That's when you're onto a good thing.
Yeah, well, I remember one time, I was in Las Vegas just with the same guy, and we were, I was talking with some girl, and like he was interested with some girl. And it didn't go well with the girl I was working with, so I was, still trying to, work, kind of work, say some good things to get him into the interaction and stuff like that, so he can get with the girl. Then I realized, like, that this girl kind of wasn't interested in him, and like he was still like, I was trying to hint that to him, and he ended. This guy was so stupid, man. He gave this girl I told him, man, what's this call tonight? Because because you can read the verbal cues and body language and all that. And I tried to be a helpful wingman, but it didn't work out, and he ended up getting screwed. But he gave this girl like $100, man, just so she can get some drugs. and
Jesus, oh
and then
man,
like
sit
so
back.
like we were riding around with them like for like 30, 40 minutes. I'm like, dude, they're not interested. Let's get going. I just gotta, because I'm very intuitive. That's the one thing you gotta be intuitive too. Like when you're, fill out the situation when you're with your wingman. No, and I got that, it's weird because I knew like this wasn't going anywhere. And like the girl ended up stiffing him for like $100. She like walked into the casino and disappeared. And my friend who was, just saying he was all frustrated and everything. And I was like, dude, I told you, man. No one, didn't
Simp
listen.
out. Women don't respect guys that simp out like that. Definitely not.
And he actually called the girl, and the girl picked up, and he like whined, and he like pretty much just kind of complained about it. I'm like, dude, like you got yourself into this situation. I tried to, as a wingman, tried to get him to, tell him to move on. Let's just go to somewhere else.
Hmm. You need that abundance mindset, man. Like really, like
hmm
just carefree attitude, carefree attitude, bounce around, have a good time. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
man.
what it's all about. Like, I think that's another thing when you're out with a wingman, you just got to have that abundance mindset, carefree, just out having a good time.
Yeah,
Yeah, you want to get pussy, but
yeah, man. It's like when I go out, like I don't go out that much, any to night game and stuff. But Like when I go out, it's more like I just don't invest too much in any, in any interaction. Like I do think like with night game, especially these days, that you need to seal the deal pretty much. Like because I think getting numbers from nightlife is almost futile. You might, I mean, yeah, sure, exchange the Instagram, but I'm just from my experience, like these days, getting numbers from nightclubs or exchanging Instagram has a very low ROI, unless you seal the deal that night, because the girls are exchanging numbers all night with random guys, so you just kind of get
Right.
lost in the
That's
pile.
true.
So it's like it's almost worse than, yeah, I don't know, it's almost worse than dating apps, like because yeah, like I said, girls are just giving their numbers out left, right, and center. So you want to seal the deal, but at the same time, you like when you go to a club or something, you don't want to be clingy, man. Like you don't want to be clinging to girls and stuff, showing that you're invested too much in them. So like, I get good results when I'm just very uninvested. So like maybe I'll meet a girl, start dancing with her, maybe make out with her, then I'll like leave her for a bit, and I'll go around and look for other girls. Like I might
Hmm.
hook up with another girl, like, and whatever happens happens. But um, because I just becoming too invested in girls, like becoming invested in. You see some guys like clinging to girls and clinging, following them around. It's so lame, like
Buying them
following them.
drinks all night.
Yeah, just like following. You see guys following girls around a nightclub. It's like no, like don't do that. Like they lose attraction for you immediately. Like you know what I mean? Like
No,
when
I just kind of like I like when I go to the nightclubs. I'm more of like I'll talk to one girl, go out do my own thing, and eventually I'll run into that girl like later on in the night. But yeah, sometimes I realize like it's not a good thing to kind of waste all your time with one girl like at a nightclub. And what you said is true. You definitely got to go. You should probably, if you're at a nightclub, try to go more for the lay. That's something I got to work on more. I
mm,
more like to get the phone number and go out to the date. And I've had some successes, with girls where I've done that, gone out on the date. But it's like it takes a lot to go out on that. It takes a lot of like approaches to do that, and to have a solid date. But not that's something you said something that's like a good idea and something I got to kind of push more to seal the deal on the first time at the nightclub because I'm used to like just going out and then on a date and taking the girl home the night on the first date. But I guess you can look at the nightclub the same way because I just don't want to be waste a lot of time. With one girl at a nightclub, I want to talk to lots of other girls.
yes. So what you do is you just you open the girl, you build up a little bit of rapport, and you exchange the Instagram or the number. So
Hmm.
that way you have her number, and then you have her Instagram, whatever. So you can leave, go to talk to other girls, and then like if you don't get anything by the end of the night, you can DM her and say, "Yo, where you at?" Like link up with her again, and then you can take her home. So that way you can bounce around. It's like you can bounce around the nightclub, uh, talking to as other girls, and not
Hmm.
being like totally invested in one chick because yeah, they don't. Yeah, they just like when you put all your eggs in one basket. It's like yeah, it's like it's not a good idea. You might as well. You're there to have a
Right.
good time. You're there to talk to like you're not like a lot of guys will talk to a girl in a nightclub and they'll behave like they're in a monogamous relationship with her. No, like dude, you just met that fucking bitch. Like why
Hmm.
would you like behave like you're some guys are such fucking simps, man. It's unbelievable. Like they'll get a girl's number and then they'll stop talking to any other girls in the club, like just because they don't want to be seen to be talking to other girls. It's like you
I used to
fucking
be
simp.
like that, man, but I realized no, you got to just go for a lot of numbers because like you can just get
Oh
one number, you
man,
think, and
no,
then you
it's like
never hear from that girl again.
dude,
No,
it's so common. It's so common. The guys,
mm-hmm,
these girls don't give a fuck about that. They'll talk to all the guys that come talking to them. You know what I mean? Like those
mm-hmm,
girls don't play by the same rules. Like, but these guys are simping out, like simping the fuck out, like being a good little boy. Like that, oh, I can't talk to any more girls now, and it's like, dude, the chances of you fucking that girl are not even that high anyway. So like, you just got her number. It's not that big a deal. Like, talk to other girls. Like, and if she sees you talking to other girls, she'll want to fuck you even more. Man,
Well, yeah, that's
female
what you got to
psychology is
do.
nuts. But like, it's important that, okay, it works both ways though. If she sees you getting rejected by girls, let's be honest, it works both ways. So if she sees you getting like like obviously rejected, and you're that'll salt your game pretty badly. Like that's
Right,
like
but no, all you gotta do though to avoid that is just to like, you go to this other group of girls, and even though it doesn't go like I'm able to like just leave any interaction with a hug. If it doesn't go well, hug, high five, or just like see smile, so that
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
the girl sees that the
That's a
other
good
girls are
point.
having fun around me rather than being like, oh, get away. But you
Yeah,
gotta you gotta have that right energy in there. Like, if you don't
yeah, for
project,
sure.
you gotta project that energy. So that's what I do to avoid that. When I no
Yeah, make it
matter
look like it's and make it look like you're leaving on a good note, so it's a casual thing, not just
exactly,
you walking away. Yeah,
exactly.
Daniel G says this is exactly what I used to do. LOL, not anymore. No, it's incredibly common amongst you wouldn't believe how many guys do this. It's ridiculous. Like guys real misunderstanding a game and it's like it's such a bad fucking investment. It's like, oh my god, you're out in a night out. Like you're spending this time out. You know you're in an environment with women, and you're investing in some random chick that you just got her number, and you're being a good little goody two shoes. Like, oh, I can't talk to other girls. You don't even know this bitch. You're behaving like you're in a marriage with her, like you're in a monogamous marriage. It's like, no, you talk to other bitches. Like, you don't know. You just met this random bitch.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, you just met some random. You didn't even have sex with her. You're nothing. You're nothing to her, and she's nothing to you.
I
Um,
like what Bullet Tooth just said right here. Finding a wingman is hard, and if you do, they always have issues. That's what I started to realize after a while, man. Uh, but like you said, you just got to go. You just got to look for people who are better.
it is very hard. It's like finding a good wingman is very hard, man, because it means the guy has to have game and has to be somewhat red pilled and all that stuff. And we all know there's not that many many red pill guys out there. And
Hmm.
and it's not like just because a guy is red pill doesn't mean he has game, and vice versa. You know what I mean?
Right,
Ideally,
exactly.
you want a red pill guy that has game and looks. It's hard. It's a very hard thing to find. I mean,
Right, exactly. I'll be honest with you, man. Like lately, like yeah, there's importance to like having a wingman, but I'm pretty much like when I go out to the clubs, I just do everything on my own because I just find it hard. Like it's hard like to find people who are on the same level as me. And I don't, and because I have the experience from like I'm used to like socializing with people all the time, so like I find like because of that, it's just easier for me to have those interactions, without relying on a wingman. Like I just kind of like I mean, when I was first starting out, like with the wingman stuff, like yeah, it's really important. And like I think it still serves some importance now, but like with it, it's just like a lot of the guys that I know personally, and this is not a knock on them. They just don't like they talk a talk like they want to go talk to girls or but when I just go out there and like some of the stuff they talk about, like it's just like I just can't do it. I'd rather just work it on myself. I just kind of go out and do it. Approach girls on my own, like and and that I think that's like it comes with experience. But the more you are social, like and you can just put yourself out there with not just women but with guys, and you just become that social guy who
yeah,
doesn't need
yeah,
to rely on someone.
100%. No, dude. Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, it's better to approach alone than to be with a bad wingman. I think that's what you were saying. Like,
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
like
It's just hard to find one, man. It's
I
like
mean, a bad wingman is gonna salt your game really, really badly, and you're gonna end up with less, and it's gonna be frustrating. So yeah. But on the opposite scale of things, if you have a good wingman, it can actually be quite a good dynamic. You can get with more girls. Ideally, my ideal wingman is a guy that doesn't get invested in either. Obviously, with a wingman, you're approaching sets, so you're approaching two girls. A guy, my ideal wingman is a guy that doesn't become invested in either of the girls, and we can like switch it up, and okay, you're better with her, and then we can exchange ultimately exchange the girls, and that's a good time. Like it's a good time if you can,
An
build it.
interesting thought just came to mind. How about this? What about if you had women friends who were, what about having wing women? What do you what do you think about that?
What do I think
Because
about
I know
wing
like
women?
some women like that, like some, I know some girls who I've offered to be a wing woman for me. You know,
Okay,
they're like, I'm a very good wing lady.
so my opinion on that is, listen, like if you've a woman, like the only time I've used a wing woman is when I have actually, she's been a friend with benefits, and I've ended up we've done threesomes together, and that can be really, because when you're with a woman, the dynamic is very you can get a lot of trust, even more so, like immediately,
Hmm.
like a very, you're almost never, the thing is you'll almost never get ghosted. Like if you're with a woman, you're not going to get ghosted, basically. You're like
Right.
that's, and it's amazing that, like, it's amazing the difference. Like you literally will never get ghosted if you're with a woman. But if you're
Hmm.
alone, if you're alone, like girls will like ghost you and like just ignore you, like plenty of times that'll happen. But with a girl,
Hmm.
you will literally, that will not happen. Like they will not ignore you.
Hmm.
That's funny. It's so not. I mean, it can work, actually. To be honest, it can. I've never done it with a girl that I've not been in a sexual relationship with, though. So I don't know if it was some kind of girl that, it works better if it's like, for me, it works better if it's because I think girls would kind of salt your game if you're not in a sexual relationship with her. If it's like a
Okay.
thing where you're both looking for a threesome, then holy shit, that shit works, man, for sure. Because I've done it
That,
and it does work, and
okay.
I've noticed how you
Yeah.
never get ghosted. Like literally every girl you approach will talk to you, because like you're with a girl and they'll kind of be, you know, they'll be curious as to what you want to say, but you know.
Right, it just depends on the dynamic when it comes to girls. Like I remember, like I just remember. Oh, thanks, Happy Thanksgiving, Jason. I think that's how you say it, Jason. But no, you know that could be a thing too. Like a girl could kind of like salt the game depending because she might have feelings for you, like, and
Right.
she might just. But
Might
it's
be
weird though.
pretend.
Like I've heard some, like, you know, I remember like I was on a date with this one girl I met online. She was telling me she's helping like some of her guy friends get dates from the internet and stuff. But like, because some women, I don't know. It's just interesting. It's an interesting dynamic. You know, I think it can be a plus and a minus, like you're saying, depending on the dynamic.
Depending on the girl, depending on the dynamic, depending on how genuinely she's trying to help you. Um, a lot of girls won't. Well, a lot of girls will probably intentionally try and salt you. It depends. But yeah. For to be honest, to be very honest, like if it's a thing where you're trying to have a threesome, it works, man, for sure. Like when your girl is
Mhm.
like, yeah, and the girl is genuinely wants to have a threesome, it can be a pretty powerful dynamic, because
Oh, I
like I said,
bet.
you'll never get ghosted, and that's half the battle. That's half the battle, honestly. Getting a girl to, like, hear you out and talk to you, and build up some rapport, because
Hmm.
it's in female nature to just ignore men. It's in their nature because they have to be. It just is. It's like girls don't even give out. They're very stingy with their even IOIs. So
Hmm.
you know, that's that's just kind of a side note. I've talked about it before, but like indicators of interest, I don't really care much about them. I'm talking about before. Obviously, when you open a girl, of course, indicators of interest are hugely important. But I'm talking about waiting for indicators of interest before you even approach. I don't care about them because most girls don't give them out. They're not, they'll
Right.
keep
That's
them
hard. That's a
themselves.
rare.
They're in their own little world. So don't wait for indicators of interest before you approach. When you approach, yeah, of course, wait, like, be aware of body language and, tonality, receptivity. All that stuff's important because you need to know if this girl is into you or not.
Hmm.
Um, and sometimes they might not initially be into you, so you need to build up on that. But they need to have somewhat of an interest at the start, you know.
Right.
Yeah, man. But yeah, man, I don't know. I think it was we'll probably cut it there. You
Okay,
got
great.
any final thoughts on it?
Well, yeah, man. Thanks again for having me on. And like I said, I think no, and a wingman is very good. Like I think it's very good for guys who are just kind of like starting out. And I mean, even if you're still like pretty good at talking to girls and you want to kind of enhance your experience, it's good to find someone who's better than you. And like you're saying, don't get like super butthurt about it. Yeah, it's going to be frustrating that your wingman, yeah, is probably getting more pussy, but you got to see what your, see what your wingman is doing and copy what he's doing and have the same behaviors, take the same actions and the mindsets. And when you can, apply that, you will be able to like have success. That's what I've learned from doing it. I found that's like really helped me out. And yeah, man, thanks again for having me on the show. And like, yeah, if you check me out, I got a YouTube channel. Mac and I have done some shows together. I've done it with a few other people. It's called Command Your Confidence. So just type in Command Your Confidence and look for like the Spartan guy with the sword, and that's my channel. So be sure to subscribe. It's very cool. And thanks again, buddy.
Awesome, man. Cool. Yeah. All right, guys. Hit the smash. Yeah, I'll link his channel in the description.
Yeah, I'll
Uh,
send you
yeah,
the link in the private chat. There you go. And then you can just put it up
yeah.
there later.
Smash the like button, and I will be back next after today's Friday, so after the weekend on Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So until then, guys, have a good weekend. Peace out. Bye bye.
Yeah, rock and roll. Peace.